Welcome to the online series of WIZIUS Careers for GMAT, helping you to the top. Today we have selected a critical topic for the verbal section of GMAT, critical reasoning. And a critical part of a critical reasoning section is the understanding of the arguments. Before we begin the lecture for arguments, let's see what you will learn today. So first we will see what an argument is, and no, argument is not disagreeing. We'll see what are the components of an argument, then we will see the nature of an argument, and then what an assertion is and the difference between an argument and assertions, and at last, finally, the type of questions you can expect on the test day based on argument. Okay, so as per the definition of an argument is a sentence or a set of sentences with a premise and a conclusion. More simply put, anything with some facts and conclusion is an argument. Now, before looking at the examples, let's see the terms premise and conclusion. Again, as per this definition, premise is the fact or statements that are offered as reason for the other part of the argument to be supported. And a conclusion is the part of the argument that is held true by the premise. Not very clear of a definition, right? But don't worry, let's try to clear things up with some examples now. Now if you see here, we have given two examples. He always wears scarf on Monday. It is Monday today, so he will be wearing a scarf today. This is just a sentence, right? Remember, an argument is a sentence or a set of sentences. So he wears a scarf on Monday is the first part of the sentence. It is Monday today is the second part of the sentence, and he will be wearing a scarf today is the third part of the sentence. Okay, and if you look closely, this the first part of the sentence, the second part, the third part, the entire thing is an argument, right? Why? Because this one, let's call this one as P1, this is P2, and this is, let's call it C as of now. If you look closely, this P1, this P2 gives me C, right? These P1 and P2 are statements which are supporting the conclusion here. So I can say that these facts P1, P2 are supporting C, or C is held true by P1 and P2. Right? And that is my requirement for an argument. He will be wearing a scarf today is the conclusion of the argument. Let's look at the other example we have here. Dogs make better pets than cats do. This is a sentence. So this is the second part. Dogs provide companionship and protection. And the third part is, whereas cats are more aloof and do not guard against intruders. Now if you look closely, what was happening in the first case was 1 plus 2 was giving me 3. In the second case, that is not true here. Rather, what is happening here is 1 is supported by number 2 and number 3. So here, this first part is the conclusion. The second part was, let's call it P1, and the third part, let's call it P2. And if you look closely, in the first example that we had, he will be wearing a scarf today was the conclusion, right? So conclusion was coming at the end, which is not always true. Conclusion can be anywhere in an argument. An argument can start with a conclusion can be in midway in the argument, and of course a conclusion can be in the end. So not necessarily that conclusion will always be at the end of the argument. Another thing to remember is that both premises and conclusion are considered true. They are always true, however absurd they may seem to you. You never challenge the premise or the conclusion. They are always right. Okay. So let's move on. So by now you must be familiar with the structure of an argument. That's given clearly. An argument is premise plus conclusion, as simple as that. And I've taken the same example again. He always wears a scarf on Monday. It's Monday today, so he will be wearing a scarf today. The first part that I said, that was P1. The second part was P2, and the last part was the conclusion, right? So what is happening here is P1 plus P2 is giving me C, and this entire thing is my argument, right? As simple as that. Okay, now let's look at the nature of an argument. And as easy it may sound, there are just two types of arguments: good arguments and bad arguments. So what's the difference between the two? You can clearly make out from the list given here that a good argument is when the conclusion follows from the premises and the premises are all true. To understand things better, we'll look at the examples a little later, but let's look what a bad argument is. It's just the opposite, of course. The conclusion does not follow from the premises and or the premises are not true. Here are two examples, and one of them is a good argument and the other one is a bad argument. Let's see if you can figure out which one is good, which one is bad. Argument 1 says anyone who makes 10,000 runs is the greatest batsman. Sachin has made more than 10,000 runs, so Sachin is the greatest batsman. The first part of the sentence, let's call it P1. This let be P2, this let be the conclusion. Or what we can see in the first argument is that the conclusion, that is, Sachin is the greatest batsman, is followed from the two premises, right? P1 and P2. So P1 plus P2 gave me the conclusion, which was a necessary requirement for argument to be good argument. The other example, however, says if it is Monday, the lecture will finish at 3:30. The lecture will finish at 3:30. This is the second part, and therefore it is Monday is the third part. So let this be 1, let this be number 2, and let this be number 3, the final part. Now here, up of 3 is the conclusion, therefore it is Monday. But what we need to see here is the conclusion is not followed from the P1 and P2, or in this case 1 or 2, right? Had it been the other case, if it is Monday, the lecture will finish at 3:30. Now I would have said that it is Monday, therefore the lecture will finish at 3:30. Then it would have been a good argument. As of now, this is not a good argument. Okay, now you know what an argument is, right? Let's try something to challenge you. For that, we must know what an assertion is. So, as per the definition, an assertion is single sentence, possibly complex, that is being expressed in assertoric mode. Or simply put, assertions are simple facts. Here is an example: cricket is a sport. Easy enough, right? Let's keep one thing in mind as well, that an argument is a set of sentences, one of which is being asserted. Right? So one of the sentences in an argument would be an assertion always. Okay, as promised, here is something to challenge you. Here is a statement given: if it is raining, the mail will be late. So tell me, is this an argument or an assertion? Some of you might have said this is an argument because it has a premise and the conclusion. But does the conclusion really follow the premise here? A necessary condition for an argument is that the conclusion must always follow from the premise, which does not happen here. So, the given statement is an assertion and not argument. And one more thing that you need to keep in mind, is assertion are either true or false, but arguments are either good or bad. An argument, you cannot say that an argument is a false argument. It can be either good or bad. Anyway, let's look at the type of questions based on argument. You will not be asked to tell if a given statements are argument or not, but you are expected to know that. What the test will be asking you are these. To find an assumption of an argument, then it might ask you to select a statement which strengthens the argument. And by the way, an assumption always strengthens the argument, right? Then you might be asked a statement which weakens the argument, a question that evaluates the argument, a statement again which can be an inference of an argument, and then of course miscellaneous questions. This brings us to the end of the lecture. In the next video we will be talking about how to find the assumptions of an argument, and we'll also try some questions based on that. To get timely updates from us, please like, comment and subscribe to our channel. We also have launched our app to help you prepare for GMAT better, and is available for both iOS and Android. Thank you. WIZIUS Careers, helping you to the top.